I'm Allison from Learning at the Primary Pond. I'm a literacy specialist, and in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 tricks to help your students write in complete sentences. Most of these tips are most relevant for like first grade and up. Some you could probably adapt to kindergarten as well. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button and then also hit the little bell so that you're notified every time I post a brand new video about teaching literacy in K2. Okay, so let's talk writing complete sentences. This can be very hard for young students, even I would say like older students in the elementary grades. And I think what's interesting is that sometimes kids can write a complete sentence in isolation, right? Like if we maybe are telling them very specifically, like, okay, answer this question in a complete sentence, they can probably do it verbally, they can probably do it in writing, but then like when they're writing a more extended piece with multiple sentences, things all kind of fall apart. So that is very common, it's very normal, and some of it honestly is just time and repetition and support from us. So if your kids are not writing in complete sentences or they're writing in just like run-on sentences, know that it's normal, but also know that there are definitely things you can do to support them. One of those things is to start talking about subject and predicate. Subject and predicate aren't just abstract grammar concepts, right? Like, I don't know about you, but when I was young, we would like diagram sentences and talk about subject and predicate in that sense. But the subject and predicate are actually really useful in teaching, I would say first grade and up, how to write in complete sentences. So like the subject, of course, is who or what the sentence is about, and then the predicate is what is happening in the sentence, or at least that's how I explain it to my primary grades kiddos. With this sheet, I believe this is from my small group writing bundles, there are actually little strips, not sure if you can see the dots, but I will cut these apart, and there's a whole other page of them, and the kids will sort. They're like not only putting the sentence together, but they'll cut these out and they'll sort like subjects here and predicates here. So they're like making the complete sentences, but then they're also sorting, is this part the subject or is this part the predicate? So that's that. And we want to talk about this concept, you know, when we're doing our grammar lessons, but we also want to make sure that we're relating it to writing. So like if you notice that a child has only written the subject of a sentence and maybe there's a period afterwards, say, hey, I noticed that you put this subject. Now we need to do the predicate, right? So really tying these concepts into, you know, when you're like coaching them one-on-one with writing. And then also I would say, you know, you can model like just putting part of a sentence when you're modeling writing for your kids and saying, what's missing? And actually talking like, oh, here's the predicate, but I have no subject. So really tie this in to what you're doing, as well as doing activities like this subject and predicate little sort here. Okay, now let's move on to the second strategy. The second strategy to help students write incomplete sentences is to work at the sentence level. And when I say work at the sentence level, what I mean is to, like, yes, have them be writing paragraphs and extended pieces and stories, great, but sometimes you just got to pull out one sentence at a time and just have them focus on that. So if you've noticed, for example, that maybe like your kids, like I said, can write a sentence when you tell them, hey, just write this sentence, but then when they're writing a story or like more extended piece of something, have you ever seen where they'll just write in like, it's like stream of consciousness, right? Like it's like this never ending thought, or maybe they'll put like what should be 3 separate sentences into one. If you've ever had your kids just kind of doing these run-ons, just type yes in the comments. It's very common for little ones to do that. Even like I said, older students sometimes as well. So this is where I think working at the sentence level can be really helpful. What you can do is maybe have the kids, like if you're in the middle of a piece of writing or they're going to be starting a piece of writing, have them take a sentence that they want to include in their writing and actually put it on like a strip of paper or just a, you know, a different sheet of paper than their actual story. And then you're going to just focus on that sentence. So you could even have like the whole class is supposed to write one sentence and you're doing it as a dictation. But the point is, they might be putting that sentence back into their writing later, but first they're going to pull it out and just focus on that sentence. When they're writing the sentence, you might have them, especially if they're like kindergarten or first grade, do the line drawing strategy. So in the line drawing strategy, you would have them rehearse the sentence a couple of times, meaning they're planning what they're going to write. They say the sentence like 2 times, and then they draw a line for each word. So if the sentence was, we played at the park, they would say, we played at the park. And then as they're writing, what that does is it reminds them, hey, there's more words in this sentence, because for a little one, sometimes it's hard for them to even just remember what they plan to write. So this helps them with spacing. It helps them, every time they write a word, they repeat, they go back, we played at, they read it again, we played at the park. So they're constantly rereading and going back. So this sentence or this line drawing strategy can help a little bit, but as you're having the kids, pull this sentence out of their writing, you can also come back to talking about subject and predicate. Okay, where's your subject? Where's your predicate? Where's your capital letter? Where's your period? You can just go more in depth on that sentence and help them focus on it, as opposed to if they're supposed to be writing this whole paragraph or this whole story. Now, when their sentence is the way it's supposed to be, then they can go and put it back into their writing. So we're always making that connection. We're not just doing one sentence. We're doing this for the purpose of writing a paragraph or writing a story. But helping them just focus on one sentence at a time can be really, really helpful. And you can also do, you could do like peer editing where they're helping each other with their sentences. So lots of options, but working at the sentence level can be extremely helpful. And maybe this is something you do with your whole class, but maybe it's also just something you do with a small group. They bring one sentence, you work on it at the table, and then they go back to their seats and continue writing. So many different options there. My last little tip is just to have some kind of anchor chart. So maybe you've taught subject and predicate, you've worked at the sentence level. They're going to forget sometimes. That's very normal. Have some kind of anchor chart that includes what are the parts of a sentence, subject, predicate, capital letter, period, right? Whatever you want them to include. Have that somewhere posted plainly in the classroom. And then also maybe you want them to have something in their writing folder that they can refer back to. And maybe when you're doing peer editing or they're editing their own work, they have a little checklist that again includes the parts of a sentence and what a complete sentence should have. So everything that you do, you want to also visually represent for them in something that they can continue to refer back to. Last but not least, don't forget, this does take time, right? Sometimes it can be frustrating when we're oh my gosh, I taught this, we worked on this already. I hear ya. It can be a little bit, oh my goodness, how much more time is this going to take? But especially when we're working with the little ones, it does just take that time and repetition. It doesn't mean you're necessarily doing anything wrong. If they're just not getting it, it might just mean you need to explain it a different way or just give them more time. All right, I hope that this was helpful. If you would like to learn more about teaching writing in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, that's actually a huge passion of mine. And I do have a 1-hour in-depth workshop where you can really dive in with me, talk about how to get kids to become more independent writers, how to get them to write more, how to set up your writing time so that the kids work independently and everything just flows. And I would love to invite you to watch that workshop. I will include a link to this along with this video so you can get signed up for that writing webinar. Again, thanks so much for watching. Hope this was helpful. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.